Welcome back, students. Happy Finals Week and to the final issue of the Promethean Podcast. I am your host, Norah Schmitz. Here is your news wrap for November and December. To help you get through finals, the Jim Dan Hill Library will extend its hours for Finals Week. It will be open until midnight on December 16th and 17th for all students. We start with the return of the UW Superior Curling Club in the spring of 2025. With the curling club still starting up, the main goal for the start of the semester is to start recruiting members. If interested in joining UWS Curling next semester, you can reach out to the club on Jackets Connect at the start of the spring's 2025 semester. To the SGA brief, SGA member Usman met the president of UW Eau Claire at a shared governance meeting. SGA will be working with them to bring sustainable practices to UWS. The Alumni and Friends Foundation hosted Jacket Jingle, a celebration for graduating seniors held on December 5th at the Belknap Lounge from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Attendees participated in festive games, a scavenger hunt, and prize giveaways. The Alumni and Friends Foundation put on events throughout the year. One of the upcoming events is going to be a Madison Capitals hockey game in Middleton, Wisconsin. For more information on Alumni and Friends events, check out their webpage on the UWS website or the campus calendar. In other news, the World Student Association hosted a cooking demonstration on November 16th at the Pilgrim Lutheran Church. Students and staff had the opportunity to try dishes from Japan, Ethiopia, Nigeria, South Korea, the United States, Mexico, and as well as the Red Cliff Band of Ojibwe. At the end of the event, people bought a cookbook with the recipes of the dishes served on the night. Over in the Yellow Jacket Union, students had the chance to get creative at the DIY Craft Bonanza hosted by Yellow Jacket Activities Crew. This event gave students the chance to relax and create crafts with friends before Finals Week. UWS has been recognized as a 2024 All-In Most Engaged Campus for college student voting. UWS is one of 471 colleges and universities recognized for their outstanding efforts to boost nonpartisan student voter participation in the 2024 election. The All-In Campus Democracy Challenge recognizes colleges for committing to civic engagement. UWS has been acknowledged for its work in boosting voter education and turnout. UWS and the World Students Association presented an international folklore event on Monday, November 25th at 6 p.m. in the Yellow Jacket Union. This event aimed to spread folklore from all over the world. The International Folklore event served as a meaningful platform to celebrate the rich tapestry of global cultures throughout storytelling. The event encouraged intercultural communication and a greater understanding and appreciation of folklore and its vital aspect in culture identity. With the fall semester ending, 2 of our editorial staff members are in their last semester at UWS and will be graduating this winter. Editor-in-Chief Drew Kerner and Sports Editor Isaiah Wiita are in their final few days of their college career. Here is an interview with Drew, Isaiah, and the 2 staff members who will be filling their roles in the spring semester, Maddie Schaffer, who will be Editor-in-Chief, and Evan Ludwig, who will take over the Sports Editor role. Take a listen to that interview.
The spring semester for the Promethean will look a little different, as current Editor-in-Chief Drew Kerner and myself will be graduating this winter. Today, I'm joined with Maddie Schaffer, who will be filling Drew's role as Editor-in-Chief, and Evan Ludwig taking over my role as Sports Editor. Guys, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, we've been working together now I've been working with Drew for a long time, probably two years for myself. So, Drew, I'll kind of start off with you. Just kind of take us back to when you got started with the Promethean, how you got started, and then just kind of your journey as you moved through your college career.
Well, it was really a last-minute decision for me. It was about a week before I actually started classes in fall of 2021, and I just switched my majors recently from art education over to both multimedia journalism and digital filmmaking, because I've always wanted to do something with cameras and TV, but I didn't know if I wanted to be like an art teacher or something like that inspired others, or do it myself, and took the chance to just do it myself. And I was at Jacket Fest that semester, and that's where I actually found out we had a campus newspaper, because previously I just didn't really pay much attention. And after about a month of reporting, I ended up doing some of the layout. All the staff that semester was actually graduating The only person that carried over from that one was actually Jeffrey McClure, who started later on in that semester. And then ever since then, it's just kind of been on my responsibility to kind of organize and plan out the paper. And then Jeffrey took on the responsibility for sports. And yeah, it just kind of grew into what it has been now in the last 3.5 years.
Didn't you do sports for a little bit?
Yeah, I did do sports that first semester. It was probably the worst sports reporting, in my opinion, because I just did few stories, barely knew what it was.
Not your beat?
Not my beat. Yeah, and it was a lot of Yellow Jacket athletics because I just simply did not know the terminology. I've never been interested in sports and never really tried to. I mean, I could cover intramurals, but other than that, I'm like a lost puppy out there.
Hey, but that's where, it's a team effort. I kind of got involved with the Promethean. I transferred over from St. Scholastica. I was a exercise science major, did that for a 1.5 years, did not enjoy it. So I moved over here, and then I remember just setting up my major, and I remember I was with my advisor, like, what do you really want to do? I was like, I would love to do sports play-by-play broadcasting or journalism. They're like, oh, perfect, we'll get you on the multimedia journalism track. And then I took a Tom Hansen class in the fall. Was it fall, Evan? Is that my second semester here in the fall? Yeah. Took a Tom Hansen class, like an intro. I think it was 203. Had one of those stories get into the Promethean, which was really cool for me. And then that following spring, I joined as a volunteer, and then kind of never went back. Just worked my way up and kind of was a assistant editor for Jeffrey McClure, like you mentioned earlier. He was a great sports editor, and I learned a lot from him.
Even better sports anchor. Have you seen him recently?
Yeah, I saw him. He anchored was it Wednesday or Tuesday night?
Tuesday night, yeah.
Yeah, for Northern News Now. But yeah, I just kind of went for it and just kind of was encouraged by Tom and Drew. And then I was a sports editor for the last year now, and now I get to graduate and move on to different things in my career. But Maddie, this is your first semester as part of the Promethean. So what kind of got you involved with the Promethean and the newspaper?
Yeah, so like you said, this is my first semester with the Promethean. I feel like when I first started college out, I just had a lot of life circumstances that didn't allow me to fully get into all the opportunities that the school had. So the Promethean was kind of like a surprise to me. I have so many passions that I wasn't decisive on what I wanted to do. And so now journalism has become a passion of mine that just kind of evolved, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's my first semester with the Promethean. I also have to credit Tom, because if it wasn't for his class, I wouldn't have even thought about being a part of the student newspaper. I didn't know there was one. And so once I started that Com 203 class, it really opened me up to a lot of experience and opportunity. And so now that I'm kind of going into the editor-in-chief role, especially with how long Drew has done it, it's very intimidating, but I'm really excited for the most part. I feel like I definitely excel sometimes in a leadership role, so I'm really excited for that. But other than that, just trying to get into Drew's shoes and do what he's done and make the connections he's made. That's my biggest priority.
I mean, in your first semester here, you've already had a significant impact, and Drew and I have seen it, and so has Evan, and it's been really fun to work with you this semester. I wish we had you beforehand for Drew and I, because we could have used your help, but I know you're going to do great coming up here in the spring. And over to Evan, I mean, you've been my right-hand man in the sports department for probably the last year now, and we've had some fun. We have some creative moments, I feel like, but we get it done. But now that you kind of get to have that control now, and you get to kind of lead that sports department. So first off, what got you involved in the Promethean here at UWS?
Well, like you, I took that same Tom Hansen class.
I think we all can agree everyone was in 203, and if you went from you probably went from 203 to the Promethean if you wanted to.
I was volunteer and then 203.
Oh, so you were backwards.
Yeah, I was.
Fall of 22. That's when we did it, and I got my first ever story I ever wrote in the Promethean, which was cool.
Was that same class I was in with you?
Yeah.
What stories was that for both of you guys? Because I can't remember, and I was 100% the guy that put on the page.
Mine was the feature on my home quest that we had to do for the class, like our peer feature, which was cool.
Mine was what I think I did a story about KUWS, the radio station that we're actually recording this podcast in right now.
Oh yeah, I do actually remember that because we didn't have any photos of KUWS at the time,
no
so I scrambled about an hour before we sent off to the printers.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that was my first one, but I also got like a Jim Danhill library story where they were doing like a banned book reading or something. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was one of those two that was my first story, but I want to say it was the one at KUWS.
I think I remember that KUWS one.
I think it was the KUWS one. But yeah, I mean, Evan, it's kind of, the Promethean has also led you to other opportunities here on campus. Like you work with Yellow Jacket Athletics now. You want to talk about that a little bit and how you got started over there?
Yeah, I also got started doing that because of a class, which our minor in sports management. Ended up doing the running for Yellow Jacket TV, which carries all the home games for us, and I really enjoyed it. And then started doing that for credit, and then once I finished my credit hours, I started getting paid to do it. So I mean, that's been fun to do that.
I mean, you're going to all the games, like you're doing soccer, basketball, you've done hockey.
Yeah, I mean,
you guys do anything for track and field when they're doing outdoor events?
I don't know yet. That's going to be on Holden, I think. Whatever he decides he wants to do, I think that when that comes, though. So
you got time to think about it. I think you guys could put on a good production over there, though, at that new Superior Choice Credit Union Stadium because of that video board. I feel like you could have multiple cameras running and and do a nice presentation for
I was
so
surprised when they actually had a video board put into that stadium,
I know.
That was crazy.
When I go there for work, and I'm shooting like the soccer games, and I always see your camera work right on the Jumbotron, and I was just like, that's cool because they kind of go from the high point from the press box where you're usually at, and they go down low to where Andrew's at, and get the on-field camera work, and then the above in the press box.
It's a big collaboration. There's like there can be 4 or 5 people working on it at one time, which is a producer, like 2 camera operators, then Andrew just running around on his one wheel.
And then you
recording
got
stuff.
I always love seeing him run around on the one wheel on the track. He'll just be flying by, and I just start chuckling a little bit. But Maddie and Evan, I mean, we talked about earlier, you guys are filling the roles of editor-in-chief and sports editor. So what goals do you guys have for this the next semester with the Promethean?
My biggest goal is just being able to be that leadership role for other people and to help people get into some of the more technical stuff, like doing layout, people who are interested in radio to do radio or television, any of that stuff. But I also kind of want to just try to do more to get more people involved and see what their passions are to kind of, I don't know, cater to them so that they would be more interested in joining the Promethean, because it really does give you a lot of opportunities and definitely a foot in the door when it comes to your future career or whatever it is you decide to do. You get a lot of experience from that.
I agree with that because I was actually writing my reflection paper for the final for my senior capstone, and we were just talking about what went well this semester. And for me, I was like, having Andrew Matthews be at almost every single sporting events and having his photos was so helpful. So I was just thinking it would just, for me personally, I said having someone in the editorial role be like a chief photographer essentially, and schedule what events you want to cover and go get photos for, because that was so helpful this semester, not having to run around and look for photos 2 days before we had to send the paper to the printer.
Yeah, I mean, Maddie, with your role especially, if you want to translate that experience into the professional field, you're basically going to be the news director. You're basically going to be the assignment desk editor. And then if you do decide to stick with print, you're going to be the layout editor and the copy editor too. So, I mean, you're opening up so many doors that every single news station, newsroom, newspaper is looking for, even radio. So, I mean, you're going to get a really nice stacked resume just next semester. If not, you already have it. this semester.
Right, and that's another reason why I really appreciate like the opportunity I was giving. I would have never had these opportunities that I have now if it wasn't for the Promethean, so it's super nice.
They could take you really far. I mean, they taken me from just writing a few stories as a volunteer to being the editor-in-chief to doing a lot at the KQDS Fox 21. I mean, on that side, I've been reporter, production assistant, photographer, MMJ, producer. I'm kind of in the interim assignment desk position role at the moment, but that's up in the air. There's a lot going on with that.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of like loops right back into my next question of like, why is the Promethean like so beneficial for multimedia journalism students to get involved with? I mean, like, we all can kind of talk about the skills that you can learn from the Promethean during your time with it, but it really does translate over to your career because, like Drew was mentioning, he works over at Fox 21. I work over at Fox 21 too with Drew, and I started off as a PA, a production assistant, and when I applied, I mean, I had zero skills per se, like in the job field, but I kind of just applied for it, and now I've worked my way up from going from a PA to a photographer to a reporter, and now I'm kind of doing that sports reporter role right now, which is fun, and I'll see what happens once I graduate here in
Going to be on the
2
desk
weeks.
and anchoring, right?
We'll see what happens. We'll
You
see what
gotta.
happens. To be determined.
Bring Friday Night Frenzy back.
We'll see what happens. But I mean, anyone want to like just touch on like how important it is and the skills you can learn that you can carry over to your future career in the journalism industry?
Well, I'll say I would have never been able to do something like this if it wasn't for the experiential learning. I have a terrible fear of public speaking, and I feel like that's like another thing that it's helped me with is like getting out of my shell and putting myself out there, and now that's also opened up a bunch of opportunities for me too. So that's just my experience.
That's actually a really good point because COM 403, is probably the easiest gateway to get into the Promethean to actually commit to a lot of time. I mean, if I remember correctly, because I normally do the math every semester for Tom on this, it's like 45 hours for 1 credit, 90 hours for 2 credits, and 135 for 3 credits. And then at the end, your only assignment is just be part of the Promethean, write a reflection paper based on like a credit per page. So
yeah, I mean, that's a big thing too for students who, even if they're not multimedia journalism majors, but maybe they're a comm major with a sports management minor, you can always join the Promethean for credit, and you can do 1 credit, 2 credit, 3 credits, and then
it's easy, 300 plus credits for anyone that needs electives.
And it looks amazing on your resume.
Yeah. I mean, and you do just, for me, I love it. I just love journalism as a whole because it is a new day every day. Like, I mean, even in sports, like, I'll go to, I've been going to a lot of hockey games lately, but I mean, it's a different hockey game every day. You never know where it's going to bring you. I mean, even here at UWS, I got to cover the president once over at...
I got to cover him twice. That's been crazy.
We went over to the one in Superior at the Earth Rider Brewery, which that's another story that can probably be found on an older podcast, probably like one of the first podcasts we recorded for the Promethean. I think we were on talking about that, but...
Can't believe that was February.
I know, it was a long time ago, and I mean... Evan, you got to cover walls coming to campus. I mean,
yeah, I was not expecting to be able
I know,
to do that.
but you said, I remember you coming back the day after. Like that was a lot of fun. I mean,
yeah, it was. I mean, we were there for 5 hours, standing around just waiting for him, and I mean, it got to report on that. I don't think I'll ever get another chance to do that, but you never know.
I think that's what's cool about journalism, though. Is you probably will if you're in the industry. If you work at a news station, especially in a smaller market. You probably will cover it.
And you'll probably have crazier days. Like when Isaiah and I, back in 23, we were covering grandmas, and then that food truck hit a power pole and just went up in flames. That was a crazy detour.
It was crazy. Like we got up at 4 a.m. because our London Road got closed at 5.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to leave. Like we packed the car and left by 4:45. We were heading up the North Shore.
Got yelled at by a grateful volunteer for not to park at a church.
Yeah, and then we got our interviews and our stories and got back to the station around like 1 o'clock, and all of a sudden we got a call like, hey, there's like Smokle or at, I don't know what the intersection was, but we
It's Central Entrance, 6th Avenue, and
Yeah.
9th Street because I live right over there.
Yeah, and then we just were like, let's go. So they're like, go check it out, see what it is. We go over there, and there's a food truck on fire.
Yeah, I can't even remember what food truck it was, but it was apparently very beloved in
Yeah.
the community.
But you do never know. There are some days that are fun. You get to go do something at Bentleyville and freeze, or you get to go cover some breaking news, which is also very interesting at times.
If any future employers are watching out there, I refuse to cover Bentleyville. I've already done it like 12 times.
You don't like doing Bentleyville?
Well, just you could only write the same story over and over again. But I mean, it's kind of still fun to go. I had fun this year going, but
When did you go this year?
I went not for the news. I went
for
outside of
fun.
the news.
Yeah.
But my first 2 years, I did 12, 13 stories. It's a lot.
Yeah, journalism can be it's a great field. I love it because you get to be connected with your community, and also it's just a new day every day.
You get to meet really cool people too.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's probably the best part. I mean, especially Maddie, for next semester, you're going to find that there's some pretty cool people on campus and administration. Like, I know Jen Bird, I don't know if she ever listens to these, but like she's probably one of my favorite people I've ever had to coordinate stories with. She's normally super fast on emails unless she's out of her office. Might take her a few days to get back, but she's been great. Same with Allison Garver, and she's a few steps away. A lot of these people are just really great people that we have on campus, and they like to see us thrive as a newspaper. And I mean, they are loving every opportunity we get to better ourselves by adding like the podcasts, the Promethean TVs, and I mean, I know those are big shoes to fill, but it's going to be filled.
Yeah, you guys are going to do great. Well, I mean, everyone knows this one. It's the most famous question in journalism when we're wrapping up here. Is there anything
next?
else you'd like to add or I missed here today in our interview?
Or what's coming up next?
Yeah,
That's
we're passing the
another
torch
good
here
one.
today. So, I mean, this is kind of Drew and I's last couple days here with our last meetings today. And right after this, we'll go over to it. So, I mean,
Still got to write that paper.
I know anything else.
Sorry, Tom.
Anything else you guys want to add?
I don't think I have anything else.
Do you feel ready, Evan? Have I prepared you enough?
I mean, I've
for your
already been
role?
in a semi-leadership role, so I mean, I've been doing layout for a while, and
Yeah.
I think I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, you were the assistant editor for is it this semester and last
Yeah,
semester?
This is the second
So
semester.
yeah, so you've been doing an editorial role for a year now, and
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't really have. The only thing I feel like I had to teach you was how to do the sports
How to do
calendar.
the sports calendar.
And that's pretty easy. We do that
Yeah.
last minute. Well, you did it first because you're on top of your stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And Maddie, as long as you keep like the InDesign files from this semester, you could always pull like the template from the final schedule in May, because that's probably the most painful thing
Yeah.
you can do.
Yeah, I'll just say that, look forward to the spring of 2025 with the Promethean, and I encourage anybody who wants to be a part of it to come and join, because it's a great experience for everybody.
On top of that, encourage every single journalism student to even throw an application out into the waters, test it out at DIO, PBS North, Fox 21, Northern News Now. All those places are great places to work at, I feel. And same with the Duluth News Tribune and
Superior Telegram too.
Cloquet Pine Journal.
Yeah, Cloquet Pan Journal. All those things are great opportunities. just
KUWS.
even in the community.
Come
yeah.
work with Tom Hansen. He's a great guy. Probably one of the best guys I met on campus. He almost made me cry yesterday.
In your meeting, you just have a little.
Well, we were. I was mailing out the last newspaper, and he just kept telling me how much I've been an asset to the Promethean. I've been to him, and how more people need to. Well, he basically was telling me that like more people need to say thanks to me, and I was like, I didn't know what to say to him. I don't like how that sounded when I said that.
Well, thank you, Drew.
Yeah,
thank you, Drew.
I do thank you.
No.
I would not be able to do half the things that I do. No, I'm serious, though.
No, I
I'm
know.
serious. I would not be in the position I am if it wasn't for you and your help. And I feel like I've been able to come to you for literally anything that I need
You
help
have my
with.
phone number. You can always bother me, too.
Yeah.
Same with your vet. Your vet's been a great asset, too, to the team. And, I mean, I wish he was on campus.
I know. I guess we can
because-
kind of talk about that a little bit. I mean, that first time having an editorial staff member be online. So I mean, How do you guys maybe plan on like handling? I mean, obviously we do the Zooms during the meeting, but are you guys gonna try to meet with her outside of class, or just kind of just chat like over the phone, like
Yeah,
via text?
I'll definitely talk to her to see like what's the best way for her to keep in contact. But as far as like her being an assistant editor as an online student, I feel like there's many things you can do, even though you're a like off-campus student, and you can still be involved with the Promethean. So I feel like because she's already doing a bunch of this stuff, but she works on layout. A lot of online students help with the social media part of the Promethean. So I feel like there's lots of things that are there to help her and give her the experience she needs to.
Yeah, I will say the online crew this year has been phenomenal. I feel like we got they were ready to do anything. They were ready to do layout, ready to do post stories online. But like, cause Drew and I, when we post them, we'd post them all at once. But like, we just gotta get them all online and be done. But they post them every single day, so we have fresh new content up every day, which has been wonderful. And we have
It's
Trey,
been wonders on our website.
I know, and then we got Trey, who's been doing kind of his own version of archives. You know, like he'll do a historic story and then maybe put a couple other stories on there. But I mean, the online crew has just been phenomenal this year.
They've been phenomenal in the past few semesters. I mean, when I first started, we barely even had anyone online, and it's great to see more students being involved, even if they aren't on campus.
Well, Maddie and Evan, I know you guys are going to do good next semester. You're actually going to do great. I have all the confidence in the world. I believe that you guys are going to take what Drew and I have done and built, and you're going to build off it and make it better. So best of luck, you guys. If you need anything, I mean, we're still in Duluth. We'll be around, so don't be afraid to call or text or just get a hold of us. We'll be happy to help no matter what.
Yeah, great references in the future, too. I mean, I'll vouch for you guys if you vouch for me.
I will remember that because that is helpful.
Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Isaiah.
you.
There's a lot of UWS athletic news, and we start over on the pitch, where the UWS men's soccer team had their historic season in their 2024 campaign, earning their 8th consecutive Upper Midwest Athletic Conference championship and a trip to the NCAA Division III tournament, where the Yellow Jackets made it to their first Sweet 16 in program history, where they faced Amherst. Amherst would come out scoring 2 goals, holding a 2-0 lead over UWS. But the Jackets did not quit, as they scored their first goal of the match in a penalty kick by Josh Bellamy. And later on in the second half, Aaron Schartenfolker finds the back of the net to tie things up at 2, sending the contest into overtime. The match will go into double overtime, where Amherst will add one more goal to take down the Yellow Jackets 3-2. Over to the hardwood, the UWS men's basketball team recently made the long trip down to Houston, Texas for their non-conference competition. The Yellow Jackets played Trinity University on November 23rd, where they fell 84-76. For the Jackets' second game, they played the University of St. Thomas, Texas on November 24th, where they fell 74-53. Despite dropping both games of the trip, senior guard Javon Walker, who was from Texas, was able to play in front of his family wearing the black and gold. The next chance you can catch the Yellow Jackets at home is on January 8th against North Central, tipping off conference play. Over at Westman Arena, the UWS men's hockey team hosted their annual Superior Showdown tournament on November 29th and 30th. The 4 teams included in the tournament were UWS, St. Scholastica, the University of Dubuque, and Lawrence. UWS advanced to the championship game, where they faced CSS in another bridge battle. In the championship match, the Yellow Jackets started off hot, leading the Saints 2-0 late in the second period. However, St. Scholastica would score 3 unanswered goals to win the Superior Showdown tournament 3-2 over the Yellow Jackets. The next time you can catch the Yellow Jackets at home is on January 10th against Concordia, Minnesota. Puck drop is at 7:05 p.m. And over in the YX standings, the UWS men's hockey team is in 3rd place with a conference record of 3-1. And for the women's team, they are currently in 4th place with a 1-3 conference record. That is all the time we have for this episode of the Promethean Podcast. The podcast will return in the spring semester. Best of luck with your finals, students. I'm your host, Isaiah Wiita.
And I am Norah Schmitz. For other campus news, check out our website, uws-promethean.com.